making $253 trading JP Morgan. Let's get into today's trade recap. What's going on, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. It is a Friday when I'm filming this because I filmed this recap before, but then I realized that I started saying some weird shit, and I was like, I'm just gonna do that again. I thought about that. Kind of weird, but whatever. Okay, either way. So JP Morgan, this is a trade that I took on the 1-day time frame bull flag setup, and it made 253.20. If I jump over onto you can see trade history up in the top right. You can see the closed P&Ls up there, and this account currently sits at around 10,662 or 60-ish bucks and change. This is the stock account, and then I have an account with one of one funding. Technically two accounts, but really one that I mainly use. That was a 25K account. That's at 26,550 and change, something like that. So that's the status of the two prop firms. Either way, so we're up. This was a 10K. We're up a couple hundred. Other one, we're up like 1,600. So cool. Let's get into the recap. So, by the way, that's a trade that I'm looking at next. I just got in, and they'll do a recap if it loses or wins, and whatever the time is on US Steel. But JP Morgan is the trade that I'm now looking at, and beautiful looking, play. This is a straight up play where we had, big picture, right? Look at the big picture. I gotta stop saying right. Big picture just is big picture trending up. All these times when I pause, I catch myself now saying I want to say right, but I gotta stop saying that because I just think it sounds so stupid after the fact, right? All right, so trending up, and then we had a nice pullback off earnings, a couple weeks ago, and then we bounced up. Nice little consolidation. You can call it a bull flag, whatever you want to call it. Nice push here, good strong candle on decent volume, on better volume actually, and then we broke out. So I got in on this day, which was the 8th of May, and it was pretty much a straight up shot to the take profit, which was a 2-to-1 risk reward. It doesn't work that well, or just shy of that, but it never works that well. But this time it did, and in a perfect scenario, this is how it should work. I should get in, and I should either be right or wrong fairly quick. If I'm not, I'll still be in the trade. Depends upon the situation. I'll still likely be in the trade, but I also know that this is not really working with the timing, and I'm a little bit off on the timing, so I'm not going to move my stop loss down. I never do that, but I'm definitely not moving my stop loss down, and if I want to take it off here, break even, then there's no reason why I wouldn't be opposed to doing so, and I'm not going to kick myself for doing so after the fact because the momentum wasn't there when you got in. So that was the trade, pretty straightforward. And I was looking for a push here as we had a flag kind of close to all-time highs. So I was looking for a push up into those highs and a break of those highs, which we've now received, and we exited the trade. I originally had a take profit at 203, which I then moved to 204 because of the strength that I was seeing. And also I was like, at that point in time, I had moved my stop loss to break even. So I was like, let's milk out a couple extra bucks if we can. So that's what I did, and it worked. We got just shy of 205. Maybe that 205 could be a good push into next week. Who knows? I don't really care. Could I scale out? Oh, yeah. This is where I rambled like a bitch last time. And I started talking about scaling out, and I was like, okay, for whatever reason, I spiraled that so far. When I want to talk about scaling out in the case of my data, you could say, and I could say, and one of the biggest things I would like to work on, but at the same time I say that, but then I think down I don't need to because I don't really care. But either way, scaling out, we hit take profit, we're looking strong. What should I have been out of the whole thing? Should I be in with a piece? Should I have just been moving my stop loss up as I slowly scale out a quarter or a half, 3/4 of the position? That's the next piece that I want to start testing, and small chunks, meaning I'll probably sell 75% of my position or more at my original take profit. And if we have a strong stock or a strong move, then move my stop loss up to break even, and then incrementally look to sell from there, just to milk out a few extra bucks. In the grand scheme of things, does that matter? And here's what I'll refer back to my data. So if I go back to the data, let me just refresh this for this month. We're up over 1,300 bucks. We have an 80% win rate, which again, that is not sustainable. I've said that a million times. However, there's only 15 trades. So you could get an 80% win rate off of a selected 15 trades, right? I said it again, right? But you get the point. So if you were to go back to last month, you would see that out of 27 trades, we barely made any money. We made some money, but we made essentially break even. And we had a 44% win rate. So we're kind of evening out. And if you go back to this year to date, what do you see year to date? Year to date, our win rate's at 49.44. That was like 48, 47%. It's come up as of late because I've had some good winning trades. But sub 50% win rate, we're profitable, clearly. And what do I see? Average win-loss, absolutely beautiful. I love seeing that. That's a great average win-loss. But in the case of this month, my average win-loss is even better. It's at 2.48. It's awesome. That's amazing. So when I bring it back to getting back to the point, the scaling out, do I need to, like, this strategy is working? Right? We've got now, this month, go back so far this year. You can go back to when I started doing these trade recaps as far back as these videos go, back almost a year now. And I go back all the way to April. It was something, this clicked about April 2023 for me. I go back to that point when it clicked and I said, okay, I'm going to only trade one strategy, because prior to that, I was doing a lot of different things. I've been profitable, and I say it now because it's been good, very decently profitable. Not like barely, like razor thin. No, I mean, you can go back. I mean, you can look at the year-to-date charts, and if I was razor thin, that was kind of how we were feeling maybe like 2 months ago. Like, oh, we're barely up. No, we've pushed up nicely, and it just becomes a game of now scaling up the dollars, which I've talked about before. Now it becomes a game of just scaling the dollars up. I want to scale the dollars and cents up to the point where, obviously, it makes more of a dent in today's society, with the cost of life and everything, because you could have, and the trade sizes, a couple $100 swings, P&Ls, right? Kind of cool. But in the grand scheme, like, it doesn't, like, because I know that my win rate's around 50% for like hundreds of trades, or actually just below, I know that even if my average win loss is great, like, it still means that I can't guarantee how much money I'm going to make in a given day, week, month, quarter, year. But I can guarantee that if I continue to do the exact same things that I've been doing, I'll consider that I continue to adapt in the same ways that I've been adapting to the market conditions, because they will continue to change. If I continue to do those things, then all it is double your size, triple your size, 5x your size, eventually 10x your size. And then 10x, if you 10x your size, that would be so far on the year, okay, we're up 25K. Now, a couple months into the year, being up 25K means a lot more from like a, okay, what is that going to get you, and what is that going to do for you perspective than 2,500 does. Don't get me wrong. Profit's profit, and most people can't be profitable. So that's great. But you kind of see the point. So it's like, why fix what's not broken when I get to the scaling part? If it's working the way that I'm doing things right now, I don't need to fix it. And the whole other piece here is that every single trade is like a 1.5 or better risk reward, meaning that I'm looking to make 1.5x what I'm risking on every trade. And there are some trades that I end up taking my stop loss before we end up hitting the ultimate drawdown, because it's a weekend or it's an overnight. I just don't want to take the excess risk overnight. And so I just get out. So I end up losing a little bit less on certain trades. So from the way that I am comprehending and seeing things and seeing my strategy through, it's working for me. So I don't feel the need to change that drastically by any means. There will be times when the market goes into trending environments. And for example, we may be in one right now. Let's say that JP Morgan goes to 210, 215 before any substantial pullback, which it might just do this, right? Because caught it. Like, we could see this again, and it could go, massive move. And that is the scenario that, like, I can kind of kick myself maybe and say, yeah, it would have been great to have, made some more money on that or capitalize on that, because, that can move the needle a little bit, meaning that my average win loss goes from a 1.76. Let's just say that these numbers are for the entirety of the year, 1.76 to now 1.86, which doesn't seem like a lot of a movement, but that, over the course of many, many trades, big picture, could be a really nice, little bonus, right? Bonus, period. On top of what you're doing. That's the point that I'm trying to get across, and that's where my head is at. So this month so far is good. This is Friday. There were setups, and there were some stuff that I was like, oh, that could have been really good, but I didn't take it. I was actually driving. I had to go to pick up my race packet for tomorrow's race. I'm running a 58-mile race in the mountains of Georgia, which is going to be insane. And then, which this will be posted probably after the fact, after that happens. And then, so I just was like not around. So I was like, I can't, I'm not going to forcefully do anything. Although I do like the looks of steel to the downside, believe it or not, and beautiful setup to the downside. And then I do like BTC as a breakout candidate trade to the upside. If I pull up the daily charts here, you can kind of see my trend to the downside. I like what I'm seeing. Volume is starting to tick up a little bit here, which is good. Just want to see that follow through. We'll see if we can get the continuation on Bitcoin. But I do like the looks of maybe, a little inverse head and shoulders right here, a little inverse head and shoulders. And given how the market went to all-time highs, it wouldn't be surprising for me to see Bitcoin go to all-time highs in the coming weeks, maybe sooner, but in the coming days and weeks maybe. So we'll see if this breakout has momentum. I think this weekend could be interesting to see if we get some follow through there or if we don't. So there you guys have it. That's today's trade recap. I'll leave a link to TradeZella where I track everything like usual down below. Obviously, it's been good the past couple of days. So knowing that, there's absolutely no reason to push pace, no reason to size up. Oh yeah, that was another piece I wanted to mention. When it comes to sizing, when I get into this, like, it would be very difficult for me to lose, to end up having a red month. I would have to trade the last 2 weeks of the month aggressively, and I would have to trade with larger size than I usually trade, and I'd have to lose like one trade every single day in order for me to lose all of this, the profit that I've made. I would literally need to lose for 5 days in a row, on average, one trade per day at an average loss substantially larger than what my current average loss is for the month, just so you know. So should I give it back? No, as long as you manage your risk, whatever. Maybe I have a couple losing trades, but I shouldn't give the month back by any means. But knowing numbers, probabilities, we may be entering a pretty hot time, maybe. So maybe the strategy is working really well, and I'm going to ride that for sure. But what I'm not going to do is drastically size up after a string of good trades, because the probabilities that I'm going to have, like look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. 9 winners in a row. I didn't even realize that. 9 winning trades in a row. Okay, the probability that I go for 10, 11, 12, 13 in a row, each trade that I take from here that wins, the chances of that winning, right, or the chance of a new trade winning are dropping, and they're dropping off bigger and bigger and bigger just from knowing my strategy, how I trade. And that's fine. It's fine. But what the problem I think people have is that then they do well and then they size up. And to be honest, the best time to size up would be after a string of red trades. Like if I lost 10 in a row, or if I had like 2 months, like the past 2 months of just like choppy, not consistent, like that, and things are not really shaking out that well, that's when you want to size up, because the probabilities are more in your favor for eventually you going on a run and then you making more. But that's the plan. So obviously we're trying to size up, but I'm going to do so strategically, and I'm not going to be doing so aggressively after having a lot of winning trades in a row. So it's kind of like a game where like I'll have a bunch of winners, then I'll lose for a little bit, or I'll lose a trade or two. And then after a loss or two, that's when I'll start to say, okay, next really good setup that I see that makes sense, that checks all the boxes. Now we can make that that little bump up in sizing. And that's how my brain works. Some people will say no, it's a terrible idea. I think you can say that and you can do that when you know you're just traded the same way. If I was rogue trading randomly and having huge runs and trying to predict the market and this and that, I didn't earn the ability to do that. But if you can, if you're decreasing the significance, your intent is in front of you and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing here, you're good. You're good. So there you guys have it. That's the recap. Trades, I'll leave a link below. If you're still here, you're incredible. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.